Good evening, everybody. I think tonight's Thursday night?
It is Thursday.
Thursday night, and we're here for another episode of Crossing the Aisle, where we're going to talk about something that I don't know if it's really political related. It is something that's interests both of us a lot, and especially Lindsay, because she's got some animated takes on that. Excuse me, I got to move this is my Kim Wade Pride action figure.
Ridiculous.
You know, in case anyone wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
He just qualified for mayor today.
But I guarantee you, he did not do it holding a pride flag.
That's Lando. That's actually Lando Calrissian from Star Wars holding a pride flag, but I'm calling it Kim Wade. So, anyway, we are going to discuss.
He's not white.
Who's not white?
That thing's not white.
Yeah, no, and Kim's not white either. Well,
yeah,
maybe. yeah, that's right. Maybe he is. Anyway, we're going to discuss the moon landing, whether it was real or fake.
Sure we were.
And
making sure you could hear us.
Okay. Whether it's real or fake. And
fake.
yeah, well, you obviously can see where Lindsay falls on this. She falls on that it's fake, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. And we'll get into all that. But I think it was real. And for a lot of reasons, but we're going to get into that. And I know, the thing about the moon landing is about a couple of years ago, my sister was telling me, like, she was on TikTok and she said, did you know people actually think the moon landing is fake? And I was like, I think I heard about that, but I don't know if that's like real. Like people really believe that. But then I met Lindsay and I was like, holy shit. Like there's really people that believe that. And now I've learned all about
it makes the most sense.
And so we're going to get into all that stuff. And you guys have any comments or whatever, we'll be glad to.
You don't even read the comments.
Yeah, I guess that's also, sometimes I'm trying to pull up stuff about the moon landing.
Wait, why are you going to pull it up? I thought you knew all this.
I mean, I'm ready to go. Okay,
I'm ready to debate.
Well, since you are the king of the crazy conspiracy theories.
Wait a minute. They're not conspiracy theories if they're factual.
Okay, well, I mean, just tell me, they're not factual. They're conspiracy theories because obviously the accepted fact is that the moon landing was real. So I'm just trying to figure out why you think it was fake, and we're going to get into that. Now, I listened to some stuff today from Joe Rogan had a really good discussion about this a while ago, and now he's
had several really good discussions.
His mind has now changed to it. Was that it actually?
No,
happened?
I don't know that his mind has changed to it actually happened. He has said if it did actually happen, he does not believe the photos are real. He believes they were faked. But here's the thing: if you're the U.S. government and you put all these pictures out and claim that they're real, and then it turns out that they're not, you've lost faith.
Okay.
You've lost the trust of the American people, which the government lost my trust quite some time ago. I really kind of don't believe anything they say anymore.
I know you don't. So, but anyway, I'm going to let you, since this is your thing, because I think it was real. I think it's ridiculous that it wouldn't have been real. I don't understand what we would have gained. The only thing I think you say we could gain was
we were in competition with the Soviet Union.
Oh,
we were trying to win the Cold War.
Well,
and they were ahead of us in so many things. We were falling behind, and so we wanted to have that that advantage, and so we lied about it.
So we lied about it to have an advantage in the Cold War.
Yep.
Okay, and
that's one of the reasons, and people wanted to believe it. People wanted to believe that this was true. Back in the 60s, there was no Facebook, there was no internet, there was no you couldn't go type in something and then find out facts about it.
Okay,
you had to just rely on what came through your TV if you had one of those at the time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. People had TV. That's true. So, I mean, tell me though, so I'm going to let you start this off since you're the queen bee conspiracy person. So tell me
I'm not the queen bee conspiracy person.
What is the reason you actually think this was fake? I'm just curious.
Okay. So coming from someone who has not researched it, this is me thinking before I actually really started digging in and looking at facts. You realize how far we've come as a society when it comes to technology.
Sure. That's any society, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Just thinking back, I can remember dial-up, AOL dial-up, and a big, huge computer that only, you only had computers if you were upper class,
right?
And even then you had to dial it. So I mean, and that was I was in elementary school, and we got our first big computer that we had dial up
1945,
AOL, something like that. He's such a jerk. Such a jerk.
Somewhere around there.
I mean, he'll always be older than me, so there's that. But we look at how far technology has come, and if we could not even get online without going through a phone that was hooked up to a jack inside of our house and that was in the 90s,
Yeah.
then please tell me how we were able to video conference with someone on the moon back in the 60s when they had the technology that is about 1/1,000,000th of what we have on our everyday cell phone today.
Yeah, sure. And I'll tell you how, like, so there was we watched a YouTube video on this. You remember that, like, a couple weeks ago?
I remember.
How they did
I
it?
remember.
Okay.
I
And it was
remember
a
the
system called Unified S-band, which was a video signal sent from the moon to the Earth via radio telescopes, and then converted and broadcasted on television. That's how we did it. So that's what we did. I mean, that's what it's called, Unified S-band.
That's what they say.
Look it up. That's what they said. So I mean, so that's how they did it.
Why are you so apt to believe everything the government tells you?
Because I'm not crazy. I mean, I don't know what you
are. You serious?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So you think it's crazy to believe or to not believe every single damn thing the government says? You think it's crazy not to believe?
No. There's things that the government has said that I don't believe. Like I don't believe the JFK conspiracy. But what I think is okay. Let me give everybody this scenario. Here's what I think is absolutely crazy. So Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who accomplished pilots and astronauts, what they did with these two guys is let me play this one out. They called them in. They say, guys, guess what? We really can't do this moon thing. So what we need you to do is put your reputations on the line. And if we get caught, we're going to fake it. What do y'all think? And they were like, hell yes.
Well, you know,
why would they have done that?
Well, they would never give interviews. They both became extremely depressed. One became a complete and total alcoholic after the fact. And they've never, even in the one interview that Neil Armstrong did, he gave
he's done tons of interviews. I mean,
no, he really hasn't.
Yeah, he has. You can look them up. He's done tons of interviews. He's done tons of interviews. He has. Don't look at me like that. You could Google and look at them. There's tons of interviews with Neil Armstrong.
Okay, Sean. Yeah. Even in one of the most recent speech that he gave.
He is like 1,000,000 years old now, by the way. So maybe he doesn't do many now, I would think. But yeah, I mean, he was,
why don't you look it up?
I mean, okay, I can Google Neil Armstrong interviews. I mean,
post moon landing, because he refused many times to speak, to give interviews, or to take questions, or to speak on the moon landing.
I mean, here's on 60 Minutes, the moon landing at 50 from the archives. Neil Armstrong on NASA. I mean, there's a ton of them.
Speaking of the archives, by the way, you do know that a ton of the video footage from the moon landing, the official moon landing, was lost by NASA, which they claim was what they did back then was they recorded over footage,
right?
And they just so happened that they recorded over the monumental moon. Give me a break.
What we have now is copies, right? That's what I've read. I've read that. Okay, so but I mean,
no copies. How do you have a copy of something that they recorded over?
But you didn't answer my question. So they brought Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Who was the other guy? Michael Collins, is that right? Moon landing.
He didn't end up going, did he?
You're thinking of Apollo 13. Okay. On Apollo 11, that was the actual mission, which they took what was called the Saturn V rocket, which I'll get back to that. So let me start there. That's an easier way to do it. You would agree that the Saturn V rocket took off, right? You would agree with that. Like people saw it. People were there. They saw it happen. Tons of people were there. I mean,
I'm not saying a rocket didn't take off.
Okay, I'm just saying. So you would agree with that.
I am not even saying that we somehow didn't make it to the moon.
Okay.
It possibly could have happened. The pictures that they show us are not from the moon landing. Okay, that is a lie from the depths of hell. And anyone that believes it, I'm sorry, but you're ignorant.
So you're saying, okay, so you think we might have gone to the moon now?
It's I still don't think we did, but okay. I would be more willing to believe that.
Okay.
And that they faked these pictures than to believe that those pictures happened on the moon. They just didn't. First of all, there's no atmosphere on the moon. There's one light source, which is the sun. The pictures clearly show shadows that contradict there only being the sun being the only light source on the moon. Not to mention the fact that the flag is waving in the air. There's no way.
Which was caused by they were moving it. They were actually moving it.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were. They were actually moving it. It's kind of stuck in that position. But I mean, okay, neither.
Sean, there's video of the flag moving in the air when no one is touching it.
But let me get this. But let me just go back to the Saturn V.
You're wrong.
I just want to start from the beginning. So we agreed that the Saturn V took off the rocket. We agreed at least that happened.
I'm sure a rocket took off.
Okay, purporting. Let's say if we believe what you're saying, purporting to hold Apollo 11, be the Apollo 11 mission. Correct. Right. I mean, that's what I mean.
It took off. Yes, of course it took off.
It took off. There were people there. They watched it. It took off into space, and it went somewhere. Maybe it went. We don't know. It may just float around the Earth. Maybe it's still there. I don't know. But I mean, we agreed that the rocket took off. So if what you're saying is this was a ruse. That was part of the ruse, was the takeoff of the rocket that everybody did actually see in person that was there.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, the general public was there, so they couldn't have been part of a conspiracy. It was general people.
Right.
So they saw it take off. Okay. So it takes off and it goes somewhere. We don't know. Maybe, just orbits the Earth or whatever like that. Now, my next thing would be this. Okay. And that would go into 400,000 people worked on the Apollo project.
Okay, exactly.
400,000.
Exactly. But it was faked in a way that the people sitting there watching their screens didn't even know that it wasn't real. Okay, so it's not like all these people working for NASA and working on the Apollo projects knew that it wasn't real. Many of them believed it was real. I think there was only a very small circle of people that knew that those pictures weren't real. Regardless of whether we went to the moon or not, those pictures weren't real, and a small group of people knew it.
Okay, so all right, let's play this out. This is interesting. So there's 400,000 people that are working on this project, right? 400,000. And you're saying that a small group would have known that it was fake. A
small group would have had to know.
Okay, right. For it to pull it off, I mean, they would have to know.
Someone erased those tapes.
It's a conspiracy of some sort. I mean, they have to know. Like, people are going to be involved in a conspiracy. 2 or more people agree to do something illegal. That's the definition of a conspiracy. So the small group of people, which obviously reached into the highest levels of government, we would agree with that, to do it. You would have to get some approval somewhere.
Well, look, I'm not going to speculate on stuff I don't know.
But I mean, for it to
no, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. What I do know are those pictures are not real.
But what I'm saying is this, Lindsay, and I'm not even arguing. I'm just making a little point here.
But you're wanting me to debate you on something that I don't know the facts.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, okay, well, let's just say we don't know that. I don't know the facts either, right? I'm just trying to play it out. Is that as if I believed, like you did, that this was fake? If it were to be fake,
because it was fake.
Okay, I'm just saying. Let's say I agree this is fake. Okay, for it to be fake, there would have to have been approval to fake this at some level, right? At some level.
Right. I mean, somebody, obviously someone had a plan.
So who would be most likely to do that? The CIA? Or
I would think somebody really high up in government.
That's my point.
Again, like I said, this was something that we wanted to do to put faith back in the American people. We needed this morale booster. Well, I mean, I'm serious. We needed this morale booster. The people wanted to believe this. We wanted to win the Cold War. The Soviet Union was way ahead of us on so many things. We needed this. We needed this win.
I mean, they had reached the, Yuri Gagarin was the first person into space. I think that happened in the 1950s, actually. We were actually vastly ahead of them in the space race in the 60s. I think the biggest argument to your point would be, what I would say is that John Kennedy, in his inauguration speech in 1961, said that we were going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. So that would have been like, this is an American goal. We want to do this by the end of the decade. And, we're getting towards the end of the decade, because July 1969 is, getting close to the end of the decade. So I think you could say that was like an American goal, and that we wanted to beat the Soviets. I mean, we wanted to beat them in everything. We tried to beat them in sports.
And this was before all the conspiracies came out about his assassination. So the people didn't have, that's where I think a lot of the distrust for the government came in initially, was because of the assassination and the things concerning that. So prior to that, people had no reason not to trust government. I
don't necessarily agree with that. Jim Garrison's trial of Clay Shaw was going on in New Orleans in 1969. So that was a full-blown trial based on the conspiracy of the assassination of JFK. So I wouldn't say that, because that was very big news at that time, going on the same time as this moon landing, really, or fake moon landing in your eyes. So like there was
maybe it was a distraction.
No, I mean, there was a huge trial.
They like to distract us.
I got the book in the living room. It's called On the Trail of the Assassins. And they moved the movie JFK out of it. Anyway, so they were there was the public knew about a conspiracy at JFK at that point in time. They definitely knew.
You keep putting a thumbs up on the screen.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why you keep doing that.
Like you do a heart.
Oh God. But they definitely knew. They definitely knew about a conspiracy, because that trial was going on and it had already been anyway. But the point, not to the depths that we are.
I think it was a new thing to start to question the government. They had never done that before. That was not something that was a normal occurrence.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't like today when we know the government's full of shit.
Well, I think, it just kind of started. People did have faith in government up until 1974, which is when Nixon resigned.
So what I'm saying is this was before 1974.
Right. Yeah, it was. Okay. So, but I mean, back to your point really is that like you could say they wanted to beat the Soviets into the moon, which the Soviets never went to the moon, by the way. They wanted to get to the moon before the end of the decade because John F. Kennedy had been assassinated. That was his promise, his inauguration. So there's a lot of reasons that, I can
that
see
people would want to believe that it happened.
Okay, we can agree there. That's true that there is. What I'm saying is this, though, so it has to, we agree also that it had to be at some higher level of government to approve this fake out, right?
Right.
We don't know which level it was.
Look at Area 50. Was it 51, 59?
51.
51. Look at all the stuff they know over there that they don't tell us.
I'm not saying it couldn't have been, if it's fake, that there wasn't something that could have approved it.
So you think it could have been fake?
No, I absolutely do not. But like what I'm saying is, if I'm just playing your theory out. So like if it was faked, I do think the JFK conspiracy is real and was approved by a certain level of government. So, I mean, let's just say it's like that.
And this one will be too at some point.
So it was approved by some level of the government, maybe not even the president of the United States, because Richard Nixon only been president at that point for 7 months. So it probably wasn't him because the Apollo project started in the 50s for the most part. So this was an ongoing conspiracy that the government is working on. Now they have 400,000 people working on the Apollo program.
That doesn't mean all 400,000 people knew.
Well, yeah. So, we're assuming that they couldn't have known because somebody would have talked, right?
Obviously. Not to mention, do you think every single one of those 400,000 people knew all the details of what that plane was, what that spaceship was? I mean,
it would have had to have been a very small circle.
Absolutely.
But okay, well, let me say, and then also to actually complete it, you had to do a lot of things with the fake out. And here's the next thing I would say: you would have to fabricate millions of pages of documents. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, I mean, there's so many pages of documents that are missing.
But I'm saying you agree you would have to fabricate millions of pages of documents.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't know.
How would you have to show the plans and stuff that building this?
Where are they?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming they're in the archives. I don't know. I'm just saying, but to do
I don't know that there are millions.
When they did it, they would have had to fabricate, at least agree. They would have had to done that.
I'm not going to agree to something I don't know.
Okay. So they just had no documents.
Well, obviously the documents weren't that important.
I mean,
they're missing. There's a lot that are missing.
At the time, they would have had to fake a lot of documents, just like anything in government, anything in business. They would have had to fake millions of pages of documents. They would have had to do that. Okay, so they just had no documents there.
I have no idea what kind of documents they had. I wasn't there. I don't know what documents
I'm just okay. Well, I'm telling you, they would have had to done that. They would have had to fake millions of pages of documents. So let's assume they did that. They fake because they're willing to do anything, right? They're willing to fake this whole thing. So they're willing to fake the documents. They're faking all these photographs. You agree that they've done that, right? And they also coerced the astronauts into lying and risking their reputations for the rest of their lives. Which possibly been prosecuted too for some sort of a fraud crime.
Prosecuted how? The government was the one doing it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
the government's going to prosecute them when they're the ones that are telling them to do it.
One of the JFK conspirators got prosecuted. Clay Shaw.
Get real.
Yeah, I mean it happened. So I'm just saying. So, or let's say they don't get prosecuted. If they get found out, their lives are ruined.
What are you talking about?
One of the JFK conspirators was on trial at the same time the moon landing was going on.
So what does that have to do?
I'm just saying if the government was behind it, then one of them was still getting prosecuted by another DA that wasn't involved. So it could happen. That's my point.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
It makes complete sense. But but let's say they're not going to get prosecuted. But at the very least, if it came out, then they would ruin their reputations. You would agree with that? They would be called national jokes and destroyed themselves.
I think they are a national joke.
I'm not talking about what you think. I'm just saying if it came out that this was true, right? If it was true, then they would be considered like a fraud, right?
They are considered a fraud.
They're not.
To many people.
To many people, but a minority of people.
I don't know that it's a minority. I really don't.
It absolutely is. Well,
it just doesn't make sense, Sean.
But you're not answering my questions. If it came out 100%, everybody believed that the moon landing was fake, then they would be considered national frauds, correct?
Yes, the way I consider them national frauds
today.
Okay,
but the entire
way a lot of people do today.
Right, but the minority of people. So what I'm saying,
stop.
What?
Stop.
Stop what?
You're making me angry. That's not fair to say that I'm in the minority of people. I think a lot of people are smart enough to realize we didn't have the technology to do this. We didn't have this technology in the 60s.
I mean, well,
we just didn't.
Pull up a poll then. Let's see what the percentage is.
The percentage of what?
People that believe in the moon landing.
Oh my gosh! When I talked about it on Clay Show, everyone that commented.
Well, I mean, that's not a scientific poll. What's the poll say?
I don't know what a poll says. I haven't taken a poll, and I don't trust a government poll either.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, what is the belief that Statistica belief that the moon landing was fake, and this is 2019.
You know what Bill Clinton said in his autobiography, right?
What did he say?
Well, he had someone come to the White House when he was president.
Make me pay for that poll. I can't get in on.
Oh, you want to pay for that?
Yeah.
When he was president,
25% of Europeans say the moon landing never happened. Just so you know.
Well, they're smarter than us too. I was trying to tell you what happened when he was in the White House. He had someone who came as a guest to the White House who was telling him that he thought the moon landing never happened, that it was faked. And Bill Clinton looked at him like he was a crazy person, like you, me, every day.
Yeah.
And then
yes, that's absolutely correct.
And when Bill Clinton wrote his autobiography, he said that man was way ahead of his time.
Okay.
Basically alluding to the fact that Bill Clinton, after coming out of the White House, now realizes there are a lot of things that the government tells you that aren't factual.
Okay, so this poll I found that 5 to 6% of Americans believe the moon landing was faked.
And when was that poll?
2019.
Okay, I bet you post-COVID, there's probably many more that lost faith in the government that now believe there's no way.
Maybe you're right. I
could
agree with that. There's probably maybe it's 13% or 8%, excuse me, like something like that now. 8% like maybe believe it was fake. So I mean that's why I was saying the minority of people believe.
So tell me how they got through the Vermilion radiation belt.
It's the Van Allen.
Whatever.
The Van Allen. That I don't know. I don't know enough about science to tell you how that happened, but I mean they did.
Because it clearly shows that it would kill a human.
Okay. So, all right. So, like,
and that's actually one of the conspiracy theories is that maybe the Van Allen belt ruined the cameras and ruined the footage, which is why they had to fake footage.
I could believe that.
Okay, well, agree to something. This all doesn't add up. None of it adds up. It just doesn't. There were rocks. There were moon rocks in the videos that had folds in them. You could tell it was a fake rock that literally had letters on them that they now claim were a hair. A hair made a letter C on a rock that was then removed from the photo.
Okay. What's we call it? The Van Allen thing is an interesting argument and maybe one that makes the most sense to me.
Why we haven't been back since 72.
No, you told me before. You did not know that.
A human has not been back since 72.
Your argument to me is that we never went back after 69. I had explained to you that we did.
I don't believe that we ever went in the first place. So no, I don't believe we ever went back.
We went 7 times, 6 successfully. And the last being in December of 72.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right. I mean, I know you don't believe it. I'm just saying.
I don't believe it.
We went 7 times, 6 successfully. The 7th time, y'all, is, of course, the famous movie Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks and Gary Sinise. And that's documented there. One of the people, Fred Hayes, was actually from Mississippian, who tried to be. So I think he maybe still alive. Ask him how far they made it.
Let's have him come talk about it.
Ask Fred Hayes about that if he's still alive. I can't remember if he is or not. So there are, so all those people and all those missions are lying too. Then obviously, right? I mean, on the 6 successful missions.
I do not believe we have had a man on the moon. I do not believe it.
On the 6 successful
missions. Where are the pictures from those moon landings?
That I don't have to Google. I don't know, but
because I haven't seen them.
But I'm asking you a simple question. So they're part of the conspiracy too.
Someone is, yeah.
Right. I mean, they're part of it too. If you're to believe that it's fake, then the 6 successful, even the 7th, because the people on the 7th mission that Apollo 13 that didn't make it are part of it too, because they were saying, well, we could got there because they actually orbited it, I believe.
So what is the government's excuse or reasoning behind the fact that we have not been since 72? Now that we have all this greater technology, millions of times greater than what we had then, why would we not go back and really explore and try to find out more?
I don't know. That's a good argument. I mean, that's a good argument on your side. Why haven't we done that? There's, various reasons I've heard for it. I've heard lack of will to go.
Maybe because we can't make it through the Van Allen belt, just like we never could.
Well, I mean, then fine. That's a fine argument. Well, if we faked it in 69, right? If Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, or just a bunch of pack of lying astronauts, why did we continue to fake it? Why don't we just fake it once and be like, all right, we got away with that. I mean, why did we fake it?
Maybe they were really trying. Maybe they were really trying. Maybe they were really trying to get to the moon at that point. So, I don't know.
But because we had to fake it all these other times, and not
only. But why'd they stop? Why'd they stop?
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
But I'm saying, why would if you pulled off one fake out, and it's a pretty big fake out that you're pulling off? Why would you do it more times?
But you do know they had this whole studio set up that was a replica of the moon. I mean, you've seen the pictures of that.
I mean, I've seen some photos, right? I don't know if they're real or not. Sure. Okay. So, but I'm saying, so they continued the ruse through 6 other missions, 5 of those being successful, the one not, and then of course the other one being Armstrong's mission.
We just recently last year sent what did we send to the moon? It was just a spaceship or something to take
like
data.
A rover or something.
A rover, and then it had a horrible time even landing. There was a mistake, and then it had to orbit again, and then it almost had some damage done. I mean, so if we have that big of a problem even getting a rover to the moon in 2024,
yeah.
But you expect me to believe that we put a man on the moon in
1969, yeah, July of 1969, and then did it on 6 other missions. Well, actually 5, but 6 total missions successful, 1 not being successful. And I think Jim Lovell. I listened to a moon. This is how I knew some of these moon landing conspiracy people didn't know what they were talking about, because I was listening to one day and it was on Pat McAfee of all things, right? And the one guy said the 3rd person on the moon with Armstrong was Jim Lovell, and I'm like, no, that's not true. Lovell's the one who was on Apollo 13. And he
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, so the so like, okay, I've seen, so excuse me, so, your points are all of a sudden we didn't have the technology to do it. That's essentially what it is.
We didn't have the technology. There's so much of the binary data that is missing.
Okay.
And there are just so many things that tell us those pictures are not real, such as if they were on the moon, the only light source would be the sun. The only way you would see shadows are in parallel lines. There were many perpendicular lines. Again, the flag never should have been moving. There's no wind. There's no atmosphere on the moon.
Okay.
And I just cannot possibly understand how we couldn't figure out how to go live here with all this fancy technology and equipment without
Lindsay couldn't figure it out.
Sean
had to figure it out.
Yeah. Sean Aaron Yerkron.
Well, okay, and those are, what, when you put it like that, you've got some legitimate. I know I'm making fun of you because I like to make fun of her a lot. Those are some legitimate points to make an argument.
But you're still freezing, and this with all this technology, with Ethernet cords, with everything that we've got going, Wi-Fi, soundboards, lights, and we still couldn't figure out how to make this work without freezing up. Yet we were able in the 60s, before there was even dial-up, able to communicate with a man on the moon. That is bullshit.
Okay, well, based on your assessment of that, right? A few things. I'll get into why I think it was real, and then we can kind of somewhat. But so your assessment, main point, it seems to be what I'm taking from this conversation, is that you're saying the technology which is not possible, right?
It wasn't possible. I mean, I don't believe it was possible.
Okay, because
even if it was, which I don't think it was, even if it was, those pictures are not from the actual moon. They're just not.
But your primary point is the technology. That's what I'm taking from this.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that should be most people's. That's common sense.
Okay, cool. Do you believe we built the atom bomb?
I don't have a clue about the atom bomb.
Okay. Because that happened, what, 25
okay. Well,
years,
did we communicate with the atom bomb when it was on the moon and we were down here on Earth? Did we have a video conference with the atom bomb when it was millions of miles away on the moon?
So you would think, so you're saying that you think nuclear technology is much more simplistic than telecommunications?
Okay, you're asking me questions that I have no idea about.
I'm just saying, well, I think your technology argument is kind of weak because we built a atomic weapon 24 years before.
What does that have to do with
on the moon?
What does that have to do with communicating with someone that many? No, Sean, that's nothing.
I'm just saying.
No, hold on. You're trying to compare apples to oranges here.
I don't think so.
An atomic bomb has nothing to do with communicating with someone on another planet.
Yeah, I just explained to you how to do it. We had this system called a unified S-band. That's how we did it.
Oh my God.
But I mean, so I don't think, okay. And then that's where I don't agree with your technology argument. So, but then of course, my points, I've heard yours, simply were 400,000 people worked on the Apollo missions. How you keep a secret like that?
They didn't have to keep a secret from 400,000 people because many people saw that were working on screens, saw on their screens exactly what they wanted them to see. That wasn't hard to do.
And then you had to have the conspiracy with the astronauts. That's 100%. You had to have that. These guys were willing to risk everything and ruin themselves to lie about this.
Well, I think they pretty much ruined themselves when they came back. I mean, they were both, one turned into an alcoholic, one had extreme depression. They didn't have good lives.
I'm just saying they would, before whatever their after the moon life was like.
Well, why do you think that would happen if they were the most successful, have done something no one else has done? Why would they not be on cloud 9?
And then not only did we fake it that one time, we faked it 6 other times after that.
So you say, I mean, I've never seen pictures from these 6 other times.
Well, I mean, they just, so you've watched Apollo 13, haven't you? There's plenty of photos of that.
Sean,
I mean, you've watched it.
That's a movie.
But I mean, there's photos of that too.
That is a movie.
There's a dang documentary we just watched on Netflix about it, which is actual photos. You watched it with me. So they faked it 6 other times after that. And there's, by the way, one of the interesting things about this to me is not one person has ever come out and said it's fake. Like they were
part of the. There are a lot of people that have come out and said it's fake.
Not one person that was part of the whole Apollo mission has said that. Not one.
Buzz Aldrin. They know they'd be dead.
Buzz Aldrin punched somebody in the face that said that in 2002.
Because they know they'd be dead if they're figured out.
So I'm just saying it's one of the biggest secrets ever in American history.
I don't think it's a secret whatsoever. I think it's common sense to realize there's no way we could have done that at that time.
No one ever said anything. It was just that good.
I'm sure people have said things.
I mean, okay. I'm saying that
they probably suddenly were unalived if they did.
And again, because the first fake was so good, we decided to replicate that fake 6 more times.
Do you understand it wasn't so good? I've explained numerous times here why it wasn't so good. There are many, many things that you can see in these pictures and these photos that prove they're not real.
Okay.
So it wasn't so good as you keep continuing to say.
They assumed at the time that it was, so they decided, like, why don't we risk it 6 more times?
Again, show me the pic. I mean, I've never seen the pictures from the 6 more times. I don't know how we got through the belt. I don't know why we've never been back.
We were back 6 more times.
Again, the last time was in what, 72?
December of 1972, correct.
Exactly. Yeah. How many years ago was that, Sean?
You asked me before, you're like, we never went back after 69. I tell you about that.
So far in technology. Yeah. Why would we not have gone back and done some real research of the moon?
I don't know. I mean, ask NASA. NASA. I don't know why.
Look, if I could ask NASA something, it would be why the hell do you lie to the American people?
I mean, so I would ask NASA, but the thing is, so they faked it 6 more times, and and nobody ever talked and said this was, and the Saturn V rocket was part of the ruse that everybody saw take off from Cape Canaveral.
There are no way those pictures could have been taken. The only pictures that could have been taken would have had shadows and parallel lines, not perpendicular.
I'm asking about,
again, the moon rocks had letters on them. They say were from a hair, folds within them showing they weren't real. Again, the flag was flying. There is no wind. There's no atmosphere on the moon. You want to keep on and on. Well, I'm going to keep on and on with the facts that show it's not real.
Okay. And again, so the Saturn V rocket, we agree, was real, and that took off. People were there at Cape Canaveral while it took off on July 17th of 69. And so that was part of, I'm just giving you part of your ruse. Like, they really put some effort into this, right?
Of course they did.
It's a massive effort.
Of course they did.
What they had to do to fake this. I mean, they shot a rocket into space, and they got everybody to lie, and nobody ever talked. I mean, it's kind of amazing, really, when I think about it, how they were. I mean, that's like the best fake of all time.
No, I mean, they lie. I think it's even a bigger fake how they lie about how vaccines are safe and effective.
Okay, we're not having a vaccine argument during the moon stuff.
I mean, you want to talk about how they can lie and fake stuff. I'm
just saying it's the greatest fake. Like, they took this rocket off, it shot off. Everybody agrees with that, and they convinced these astronauts to lie, and all the people that worked on it just didn't know about it. I mean, it's amazing to me how all that happened. I mean, they put it together. It's like the luckiest circumstances ever to be able to pull that off, and to pull it off 6 more times. It's amazing.
Again, I don't agree with your 6 more time theory. I don't agree with the first one.
Okay.
It didn't happen.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is all fake. So, like, they faked it 6 or 7 total times. Excuse me. One was not successful. That would be my. I didn't even think about that to now. Why did they make the Apollo 13 not successful? If they're just faking anyway, why not make them all successful?
It looks more real that way.
Oh, it looks more. So they were like, wow, we got to make one that we don't actually get there. We got to have some emergency.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So and they convinced those astronauts that were part of that, Lovell and Hayes, to say we were in this emergency, but it really was never an emergency. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, they had to convince them to do that, to be part of this fake. Right. I mean, they would have had to do that. They would have to say, look, Jim Lovell, you've been a career astronaut and pilot. You're going to be part of the fake, and you're going to fake an emergency and that's why you didn't make it to the moon. That's why you couldn't make it. And they were part of that. They were willing to do that. They're like, okay, we'll be the group of guys that doesn't actually get to go to the moon as part of this fake moon landing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Whatever you say.
Okay. I mean, you keep looking at photographs. I'm just saying that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to tell them like you're going to be part of this fake.
Whatever you say.
You know,
it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. We did not have the technology. Again, the pictures prove that the pictures are not real.
Yeah.
The pictures, it's proven. They're not real.
I mean, I don't know if it's proven, but.
Well, you do agree there's no atmosphere on the moon, correct?
Right.
Okay. Well.
I mean, everybody.
And it's funny how that flag right there is moving, and there's no one touching it.
It looks wrinkled to me, not that it's moving in that photograph. Actually, and that's what the astronauts.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
that looks wrinkled and not moving.
It's not moving.
Okay,
but I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, like, they got all these other guys to agree to the fake out too. All these other astronauts, and then the one group.
Do you not think the government is capable of doing that?
I mean, I guess they coerced them forever. You know, put a gun to their head and say, "You guys are going to lie about the moon."
You're ridiculous. If you don't think the government is fully capable of making people lie about things that have happened, then I don't understand you sometimes.
Well, I mean,
like, how are you just put so much blind trust into the government that has proven time and time and time and time and time again to lie to the American people?
My trust is in the government. My I guess distrust is the better way to put it, is that people's inability to shut their mouths after, in terms of being a prosecutor so long, somebody talks,
and then somebody gets unalived.
No one has talked. No one has said a word about this.
Okay.
So that's interesting to me. Like this huge 400,000.
I think there are a lot of people that have said a word about this. A whole bunch of people have talked about it, how it's not real.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just, I'm gonna dig more into that, but there's never been any real credible testimony from people saying that this was faked. And I'm just thinking with that kind of a conspiracy, you would eventually have that. I mean, why doesn't Buzz Aldrin, he's like 4,000 years old, just say, you know what? Got to say it now. It's time to get off my chest.
You don't think he'd be dead in seconds?
I mean, he's like 98. I'm just, is he worried about it at this point? I mean, it's ain't like back when he was 40.
Why would he do that when that's his like claim to fame?
I guess he doesn't want to tarnish his reputation.
Right. Why would he do that? Why would he do that?
I mean, well, it makes no sense that wouldn't somebody that was part of the Apollo program do
Not
this?
to mention, like, he would have this attached to him for the rest of his life, however long that might be, about how he was bought out by the government to fake the American people. I mean, it wouldn't be good for him in any way, shape, or form. Why would he come forward with it?
What about somebody that knew about it that wasn't an astronaut? How about somebody like that?
I don't know how many people knew about it.
But I mean, somebody other than astronauts had to know about it.
Yes.
I mean, they would have. Some of the engineers.
But a lot of those people were a part of it. So they're going to incriminate themselves and
I mean, they're all like 100 years old now that they're alive.
It doesn't matter. They're going to tarnish their reputation that lives on after they're gone. They love being a part of history.
You don't think some person sitting there, I can't hold this anymore, that we just never went to the moon? And
I don't, because this is their claim to fame.
And a guy didn't get drunk and tell his girlfriend, some girl he was dating in 1978, that this was fake.
I'm sure someone did. But then there are people like you that look at people like me and say you're crazy. That's what happens.
I mean, but it just never leaked to any of these people.
There are people like you that look at people like me and say you're crazy for even bringing that up when there's clearly many reasons to believe that this could not be real.
Okay. Well, I do find that interesting, again, that it's not ever leaked. But hey, look, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe it was faked.
I am right,
buddy.
I'm right.
Well, do you have any other points you want to make about it? Yell at me some more, or whatever you want to do, and tell me a conspiracy theory that you don't believe in, because I don't know if there is one.
There's lots I don't believe in.
What's that one? Like, unicorns or something? Which one is it? Like, which one don't you believe in? Which one? Tell me which one you don't believe in.
There are some we've talked about.
Yeah, which one is it?
We talked about.
No, okay, you got to name one conspiracy theory that you do. I've named one that I do believe in, which is the JFK conspiracy. So there's one that I believe in.
Would you stop thumbs up and everything?
Sorry, that's one I do believe in. So I've given you one. So you got to give me one that you don't believe in.
You do believe in the JFK, because I mean, it's pretty much proven. That's been proven.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like evidence.
Now, do you think the driver shot him?
No, I don't.
You don't think that video's real?
No, absolutely not.
They faked it like they faked the moon landing video?
I think I've never seen that video until just recently.
Oh, because it was restored, just like they say the moon landing videos were restored that they taped over.
You're trying to evade the question. Name one conspiracy that you do not believe in.
Give me some conspiracies.
I mean, 9/11.
9/11 happened.
Wait, do you think it was a conspiracy with the government or somebody else or whatever?
I don't think those buildings fell the way they said they did.
Okay, so you do believe in a conspiracy of some
I
sort.
think there's some sort of conspiracy, yeah.
Okay. COVID, you think that you've told me you think that was a conspiracy?
No. COVID was totally real, but it was found in China by gain of function research in a lab and was brought to America on purpose.
Well, that's a conspiracy, though.
Well, I mean,
if you believe,
tell me how many people don't believe that.
I mean, I believe part of what you said, the gain of function and the leak from the lab. I don't know that it was. I think it was just it leaked. I don't think it was a plan, but you think it was.
No, I think it was planned.
Right. So that's a conspiracy. That's another conspiracy you do believe in. So like, we're trying to find one that you don't, and I'm just trying to. Which one is it? You got one. It's got to be one.
We've talked about this before.
You're trying to find one out. Like, which one is it? I don't know. We'll have to Google one time and just gotta go with this. Find the conspiracy theory that Lindsay does not agree with.
Whatever.
You can't think of one?
I mean, chemtrails are real. That's for
chemtrails. I forgot about the chemtrails. You believe in the chemtrails too? Okay.
Well, yeah, because I mean, they're totally putting stuff in our air and our food and our water. I mean, look at RFK and he'll tell you that.
I mean, who's doing all that? The government.
The government.
Okay. All right.
Because I mean, it just goes back to like big pharma. They want to, which is why they want to inject you as soon as you're born with all of these things and all of these toxins. Once they keep you sick, you have a customer for life. They want to keep people sick.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, we're gonna have to think about which
There's
one
some other conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I mean, well, I was gonna go with the Pearl Harbor one, but that's kind of an old one. About how Roosevelt allowed Japanese to attack us at Pearl Harbor. That's a very old conspiracy.
I don't know that I believe that, but I went around, so
yeah. I don't know. One day we'll do an episode on conspiracy theories that Lindsay does not believe in. It'll be a short 5-minute episode that we'll have about, that episode about what you don't believe in. So,
I mean, I believe that the school shootings have happened.
Okay, well, there you go. All right, well, there's one. That's right. We did talk about that. Sandy Hook, you believe absolutely happened.
Yes.
Okay,
I do.
And that Alex Jones stuff is complete bullshit, right?
I believe Alex Jones is out there.
You completely just say it. You can say he's full of shit.
He's been right about a lot of things, but I don't think
he right about Sandy Hook.
I think he was wrong to attack those family members who had lost children, and I don't think that's one I don't think could be continually covered up.
Okay.
If there would be someone
right
who would speak and say, this didn't happen. Like, this was faked. I saw it faked.
This is like a false flag, is what they're called, or something.
Yeah, they call them false flags, or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he made such a big deal about that dad walking out and kind of like smiling as he was speaking to
yeah,
media.
We watched that documentary anyway.
And I thought it was horrible that Alex Jones went to town on that dad, just for the fact that dad was nervous. He was uncomfortable, and people deal with trauma and grief in so many different ways.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny. I have this really kind of maybe expansive. What? I don't know why. I don't know how to shut off this function. I have a weird view about Alex Jones. I think he's a piece of shit, right? And I hope he burns in hell. Don't get me wrong. Especially I think
that's not nice.
I think what Sandy Hook is one of the worst crimes in American history, and it's
so tragic.
With children being massacred, I can't think of almost barely a few things worse than that. That being said, I don't think that he deserved. I think what he did was horrific. I hope that they beat him to death with a mallet or whatever the parents got to do. That being said, I think in this country you get to say what you want to say, and I felt like him getting financially ruined based on things he said was unfair. I may hate what he said, because I take that argument to my argument about like Colin Kaepernick. I don't like what Kaepernick did, but I think he's got a right to do those things. I think that's what we have a right to. I think that's what your guys' side's always talking about, like freedom to expression and to say what your opinions are. And I think that's important. Now you can't defame someone, and I think maybe Jones skirted the line on that with those families. But I think he got the problem with that case was that crime was so bad, right? Everybody
so bad
that there was going to be a pound of flesh from him over it, regardless.
It was so bad. It was just so tragic, and those poor kids.
Yeah, and it's clear. I mean, the parents were not involved. It wasn't a false flag. If it was a false flag, it's the worst one ever because no guns got taken. I mean, so that didn't work if that was anybody's plan. Those kids were massacred by that Adam Lanza guy, and there's no that everything.
Incredibly sad, incredibly sad.
But did he deserve to be bankrupt over it? I don't know if I agree with that. but I'm sure when he meets his maker, he'll have a lot to explain.
I don't believe the world is flat.
There you go. There's another one. That's like 2.
I believe the earth is round.
Okay. You're not a flat earther.
I'm not a flat earther.
All right. There we go. That's 2 of them.
Because I have common sense.
All right.
Unlike some people.
No flat earth for Lindsay. All right.
I'm not a flat.
I'm glad about that one. That's even, see, like the moon landing, the least I can say, like, there's some things like, yeah, okay, that's a point. The Van Allen radiation field is actually the one that's the most pervasive.
Yeah, because there's no studies that show that a human could make it through there alive, which is why they send mannequins now. They send mannequins to the moon now.
So, I mean, you can make those arguments with that. I think, okay, that are, but the flat earth stuff is just foolishness, absolute foolishness and stupidity.
That's why they don't let you go to the North and the South Pole because you might fall off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
then where do you go?
I mean, it's so dumb. I can't even address it, but.
Yeah, see, I'm not such a conspiracy.
No, it's I mean, I didn't realize. I for some of the conspiracy theories are so crazy. I don't even know. I'm like, wait, people believe the Earth is flat. Oh, I forgot about those people.
I mean, I do think we're probably living in the Matrix.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be too, but whatever's possible.
There's some people that believe the Titanic didn't sink.
Not those people in the sub last year, right, or 2 years ago.
In the what?
And the submersible that went down and blew up next to the Titanic.
That happened?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
The people in the sub.
They went down and blew up?
No, they went in that sub to go see the Titanic, like the tour, and that little sub blew up, remember?
Did it kill them?
Yeah, it killed all those people in the sub like a year and a half ago.
Look, I'm telling you what, the Titanic is cursed. Nobody needs to go near that.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking stupid. I agree. I mean, that's why everybody's making like memes about it. The submersible.
I remember this.
Remember this? It was like the summer of 23.
I remember when
me and Clay were doing like jokes like the yellow submarine on air. You don't remember that?
I probably didn't know what the hell y'all were talking about. If y'all talking about a yellow submarine, I don't know what that is. But like when that dude getting on the Titanic said, even God couldn't sink this ship. I mean, don't go near that thing. Nothing good's gonna happen.
But there's a conspiracy theory about the Titanic didn't sink. I didn't
know
that one.
Yeah. There evidently.
I mean, it's literally sitting at the bottom of the fucking ocean. Like you could there's plenty of pictures. I mean, it's provable.
Yeah, it says a ship did sink and approximately 1,500 passengers were killed.
But it was a different ship. What happened?
Including that it was another one of the company's ocean liners, the Olympic, that crashed, not the Titanic.
What happened to the Titanic then? Did it go to
I don't know,
the Bermuda Triangle? Just
I have no idea.
Okay. I did not know that one. I hadn't heard that one. I mean, it's literally sitting at the bottom of the fucking ocean.
Okay, I mean, I didn't know about this. After the success of Apollo 17 in 1972, America stopped sending astronauts to the moon. NASA claimed they had logged all the research they needed and government funding was reduced. But a movie about a fictional Apollo 18 came out, and now some believe the mission was real and ended tragically when the astronauts had a run-in with aliens.
Oh, there you go. There we go. Aliens. Just like Independence Day. And,
I really thought aliens were going to come down and pick me up. We watched.
I hope they do. They'd probably send you back. Like, no.
Gosh, that's what my daddy used to tell me. If someone comes and takes you, they'll bring you back.
Is this a representation of the human race?
We have to, like, I don't know. Bringing back bad memories.
We're like the representation. Like, I gotta, like, okay, we'll not conquer these people now. Maybe you should go because they'll leave us alone after they talk to you for a while. You know? They'll be like, oh, we're gonna move on to another planet. Oh, that was funny. Come on. She gets mad, everybody. Anyway, well, I think we've said everything we could about. We're gonna keep on doing this conspiracy theory thing because Lindsay loves it. And I think it's really funny. And
he made the comment, unfortunately.
What?
Mistakenly, it was like, maybe we should do a vaccine. And I looked at him. He's like, never mind. Yeah, we're not going there.
I'm not going to talk about vaccines, but I just do. But we're going to talk about a lot of different conspiracy theories. Things to be like people love this stuff. I think they're
because people know we didn't go to the moon. That's why they love it so much.
Yeah, or whatever, But so we're gonna talk about some more conspiracy theories, and maybe the flat Earth one will be next. I don't know. That's interesting. This Titanic.
Yeah, I know.
There's some people though. Clay and I looked this up the other day that don't think that we dropped the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I didn't even know about that. People don't believe that. I don't even know what that is. There's basically what we were talking. He and I were talking about this. Like, if you come up with some idea of some historical event that happened, there will be a conspiracy theory that it didn't happen. Like, you can look up anything. And so we're kind of like, we're playing around with that. Like, you can look up any like historical event or major historical, maybe not like little ones, like a battle of, whatever. But there's a conspiracy, there's attached conspiracy theory to it. which is pretty neat. I mean, so everybody like, we probably like didn't win at Yorktown. Like that was a conspiracy, like they'll be like, you could find stuff like this.
We probably did though, because my great grandfather times 9. That signed.
I'm just giving you an example, like people.
In Yorktown,
well, there may be a conspiracy that like we really didn't. That's not really the Declaration of Independence. I mean, who knows? Like, there's just so the point was you could Google anything that's a major historical event, and that there will be somebody that has a conspiracy theory that it did not happen or it didn't happen that way.
I'm sure, and I'm sure that a lot comes with the fact that we have so much at our fingertips now that it's so easy to Google something or to look something up, and there's conflicting. I think it would be a lot harder to fake something like the moon landing today.
Yeah, I would think it would be difficult,
which is why they haven't been back.
That's not their bad. Well, we're going to talk about these, and we're going to keep on going. We're having fun with these. This is going to be different. The radio show is going to be more political, obviously, but we kind of like we're talking about like we didn't want to be overloaded with politics all the time, And
we love true crime too. So there's some true crime things we want to get into, some cases that we're really interested in that we kind of want to dive back into that have kind of not been at the forefront recently. Things that I believe everyone deserves justice, and if there is a way to bring awareness or justice to a case that's a cold case, then I'm all about it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about all that kind of stuff too. Just something that we're gonna try to use these as more of a fun session, and then when we start on the radio, we'll talk politics there.
It'll be fun when he quits calling me out for being a conspiracy theorist. When you're not a conspiracy theorist when you're right. And if you're like me, your pronouns are "I told you so."
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go there, but anyway, so we're gonna
we will be starting our radio show.
That's what I'm saying. And the radio show is going to be politics. So we're going to leave the politics out of the house here. This is my podcast room. We're not going to do politics, I think, the most here. We're going to do them on the air, the radio. Here we'll do other stuff that's more fun and blah, blah, blah. You get to Lindsay talk about, something crazy and whatever. And I'll argue against the craziness. And that's kind of the way our life actually works. So that's the way it usually goes. And anyway, so catch next time. I don't know. We may do one this weekend. We'll see. Hopefully Lindsay's lithium prescription will come in beforehand and it'll be better.
Like back up. Lithium. I don't take lithium.
It's like a psychiatric drug.
I know. Obviously, I don't take lithium.
Yeah.
People don't believe anything he says.
Yep.
He's full of it. And if you feel like you can go through the radiation circle of
the Van Allen radiation field,
to get to the moon, if you feel like you can do that, you go right ahead and do it. I, for one, know that there is no safe dose of radiation. Because I learned that in school. There have been no studies that have shown that there is a nonlinear threshold dose of radiation that is safe.
That is good.
So when you go through
Yazoo County education for you.
I did not learn that in Yazoo County. I learned that in X-ray school. But when you go through a big, huge radiation dosing donut type of circle that you have to go through, you're zapped and you're dead and you're gone, or at least your cameras are and you have no pictures.
Sounds good to me. Anyway, well, so we're going to do that. We're going to do all this stuff here and hope everybody.
And we will have pride flags hanging out.
Yeah, this is and vote for Kim Wade and his pride flag. So,
and if you want to sponsor our radio show, let us know.
Yeah, reach out to us on Facebook.
We want to hear more of our fights and
yeah, if I ever get a word in, it'd be great. Okay, well, everybody have a great night.